Hello, and greetings from Canada. This high-altitude picture is where my students, my colleagues, and I live, in the very center of Canada. From 30,000 meters, which is 3 times higher than commercial jets fly, you can see lakes that are mostly covered in ice on this early spring day in the Canadian prairies. One more fact, this picture was taken by high school students.
Let's try one more time, guys.
This isn't your typical high school science project.
And is it lifting?
One weather balloon and a space probe made out of salad bowls.
And you're flying 2 salad bowls into space?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're doing.
For school?
For school? Yep.
Yes.
For science.
Winnipeg's Garden City Collegiate is one of a handful of Canadian schools participating in the Global Space Balloon Challenge. Students design experiments, then launch them into the upper stratosphere.
We're sending up UV and ozone sensors, and we're also sending up some DNA, and we're going to see how the ozone and UV affected the DNA.
Along for the ride, one durable Lego gopher, the project mascot.
3, 2, 1, gopher space!
With a bit of a bump, off it goes. Spinning and rising high above southern Manitoba, taking the gopher with it, eventually to an altitude of 30 kilometers. That's 3 times higher than a jetliner, the edge of the ozone layer. Technically, it's still well below the 100-kilometer barrier of space, but it's high enough that the sky is black.
It's a cool integration of science, but, I mean, how closer to spaceflight can you get in a school?
On the ground, meanwhile, it turns out it's not all systems go. The probe's tracking signal is failing.
Do you know where your balloon is?
No.
Computer models tell them where it should be, but up at 30 kilometers, the pressure in the balloon becomes greater than the thinning atmosphere. What goes up must come down, fast. It takes a good hour of gopher dizzying falling, but it starts to slow in the thicker atmosphere, and finally, 160 kilometers from the launch site, the gopher has landed.
We got a spot.
Yeah,
Just south of Low Farm.
The probe starts transmitting a signal. The team goes out to find it.
I don't see any drag marks.
It's awesome.
My champions, it cost $12.
It's very exciting.
Feels quite good. I thought the payload would actually split open.
They still have plenty of work to do, analyzing their data and experiments, but as far as reaching for the edge of space, mission accomplished. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, near Low Farm, Manitoba.
For several years, Garden City Collegiate has run an extracurricular club called Gopher Space. Students from grades 9 through 12 meet at lunch and after school to design, build, and launch a payload of science experiments, radio tracking equipment, and cameras into near space. Like any space program, the students divide themselves into teams that specialize in the various aspects of the project. Weather balloons have been used for over a century to get scientific data and are readily available in various sizes. We carefully inflate the balloon to a specific amount of helium in order to get the payload to the altitude we want. Here we see our flight team preparing a balloon for launch. In the background are other teams waiting for the order to attach the payload. And here is what we launch. Various sensors connected to Arduino microprocessors, radio and GPS transmitters that allow us to track and recover the payload, and of course cameras. Additional science experiments are always included. One of the biggest problems the engineering teams need to solve is how to get the entire payload to weigh less than 1.5 kilos. We refer to the project as STEM Plus. The science team decides and plans the experiments and data collection required. In addition to collecting data on pressure, temperature, humidity, and ultraviolet, we have sent up seeds, popcorn, tardigrades, DNA, liquids, and other experiments on the effects of spaceflight. We need to solve several problems: mass limits, reducing drag, and durability for a 2.5-hour flight into the upper reaches of the atmosphere. As you saw, technology is infused in the payload, and the sensors on board require programming to log the data accurately. GPS and radio transmitters not only allow us to track the balloon, but we can use the data of positions and create maps of the journey. After recovery, we analyze the data and make conclusions. And here's the plus that I alluded to earlier. Like any space adventure, we need to procure hardware, electronics, and building materials, so we have a business team that contacts potential sponsors and make presentations that amaze the audience. This team also holds fundraising events to help pay for everything. We even pay for interested students to get ham radio licenses. And nothing helps get support better than the incredible photos we obtain. And our cute mascot, Gophernaut, helps out a lot. She currently holds the unofficial record for the most spacewalks by a Canadian astronaut at 4. Thank you for watching this video. Please contact me if you have any questions, and we heartily encourage you to go for space.